I won. Today's lesson, we're going to focus about the present and the past perfect continuous tense, right? So we've done the present continuous tense, we've done the past continuous tense, we've done the present perfect tense, and we have also done the past perfect tense. But this one is going to focus on the present perfect continuous tense and the past perfect continuous tense. And also, I'd like you to note that these tenses are not commonly used when we either write or speak. It's not a commonly used tense, but we have to learn it because in case we have to write something or we have to speak out something, it's necessary for us to understand how it works, right? So, let's have a look at the first use. The present perfect continuous tense is used to refer to an action or situation which started in the past and continues up to the point of speaking, right? So it started in the past and it continues up to the point of speaking. The action may or may not be completed. So we are not sure about it. It may be completed. Sometimes it may not be completed. Now, let's have a look at an example. It is 1 p.m. and Anastasia begins to write poems. It's now 2:30 p.m. and Anastasia is still writing poems. So, if we want to use the present perfect continuous tense, we can say Anastasia has been writing poems since 1 p.m. So I taught you this since and for with different tenses. So you must understand which tense does it come along with and what is the meaning. Now this act started at 1 p.m. As of now it's 2:30 but the act is still not over. She is still writing. So therefore the action is not completed. Okay. So Anastasia has been writing poems since 1 p.m. So if you can see here, the form is has been plus the verb plus ing. So because the subject is singular, you have has plus been plus the verb plus ing. So you have has been and this is right plus the ing verb, that becomes writing. Okay. So if for an example we want to say they, the plural of this, okay, they have been writing poems since 1 p.m. right? So here it's have been writing. So if it is plural, have plus been plus the verb plus the ing form. Now, as I told you, if you remember, now if I change this into I, then I, it should be have. Even though I is singular, it acts like a plural, right? So, I have been writing poems since 1 p.m. Right? So again, you have the have plus been plus right plus ing. Okay? Same with you. It will be you have been writing poems since 1 p.m. So, have been writing. Okay. So, if it is a singular form, then has plus been plus the verb plus ing. If it is plural, have plus been plus the verb plus ing. However, if you see I and you, they act like plural and therefore it will be have plus been plus the verb plus ing. Right? Alright, so moving on. Another use is the present perfect continuous tense is used to refer to a series of actions or situations. Not just one, but a series of actions or situations that started in the past and continues to the present. So the difference is it's not one action, it's many or series. But the use is same, started in the past and continues to the present at the time of speaking. Now let's have a look at how it's different with the past tense, right? Jenna complained of a toothache recently, but she is much better now. So what happened? Jenna was saying, oh, I'm having a toothache, but she was, telling about it for some time in the past, but now she's better. It means as of now, Jenna does not have the complaining action is not there. So let's take my timeline here. Okay. This is the present. This is the past. Okay. So this is Jenna. She's like, oh, my tooth is paining. Okay. So complained. Right. But now, this is Jenna. She's very happy and she's much better now. So does she need to complain? No. Is she complaining? No. Did she complain in the past? Yes. Is she better now? Yes. Is the action completed? Yes. Coming back to our second example. Now let's compare it. Okay. So this is over. Now did I say this is over in the present perfect continuous tense? No. So when you know this is ed form, you know that this is in the past tense. Let's have a look at a present perfect continuous tense. What is the meaning? Jenna has been complaining of a toothache for the past 2 days. So what happened? Jenna, let me draw it here. Okay, so this is present. This is the past, 2 days ago. This is Jenna. Oh, what happened? She got a toothache. Okay, and as of now, what is happening? Is she happy? No, because why? She's still complaining about it. Action is not finished. Jenna is still suffering. So you can see it started in the past, continues to the present. And the action is not finished. So that is the main thing that you need to understand in this present perfect continuous tense. It started in the past and it continues at the time of speaking, right? It comes up to that point. The action may or may not be finished. That was one use. The second one, there's a series of actions. It started in the past. It continues to the present. Just like Jenna's one. She has been complaining of a toothache for the past 2 days. So 2 days ago it started, was paining and she was complaining, and she has still been complaining about it because she still has it at the time of speaking. Okay? So, you need to understand these subtle differences, especially when you write. Okay? For speaking, of course, that's okay. But then when you again want to show the timeline, you need to make sure that you understand these clear differences. Right? Alright. Now, we are having a look at the past perfect continuous tense. Why? Because our heading is focusing about the present perfect continuous and also the past perfect continuous, right? So, the past perfect continuous tense is used to refer to an action which had been going on continuously up to that time in the past that we are talking about. Okay? So it means that this action had been going on continuously up to the point that we are talking about, and that is in the past. Right, so let us have a look at the example. We had been walking for more than 2 hours before we found a small motel off the highway to spend the night. Okay, so motel is like a hotel, but it's much smaller. It doesn't have those facilities. You just get like a room to sleep, right? So we had been walking, which means it had been going on continuously up to a certain time in the past, that was 2 hours before they actually found a small motel. Okay, so where does the action stop? When they found the motel. Okay, so that is the point that we say at that time in the past. So that time is 2 hours before they actually found this place to stay. Now, if you have a look at the form, it is had plus been plus the verb plus ing. Now, let me show you the form more clearly, right? So, in the present perfect continuous tense, we have has, have, plus been, plus the verb, the base form of the verb, plus ing. So, has been dancing. Has, as I told you, is used with singular, right? So, if it is a singular subject, then of course we have has plus been plus the verb plus ing. So let's take some examples. Has been eating, has been sleeping, has been jumping, has been drinking. Right? Now, that is for singular. If you take the plural, I did this also in the before slide, but because we are doing the form again, I want you to recap. There's no harm in reminding ourselves with the form. It's very important that we understand the form of each tense, right? Have plus been plus the verb plus ing. Right? Oops, let me just, I think there's too many dots there. ing. So let us write down some examples. Have been eating. Have been sleeping. Don't worry about my writing. I think it's going to be crooked, but don't worry about it. We'll focus on the content. Have been jumping. Have been drinking. So these mean they started in the past and at the time of speaking it's still continuing, right? Now what you have to remember is that in the singular it can be she, he or it or any other singular subject. When it comes to plural, they, we, I and you. Even though I and you are like singular, they act like plural. So that is the present perfect continuous tense. Now, if you have a look at the past perfect continuous tense form, it is had plus been plus the base form of the verb plus ing. So let us have a look at it, right? So let's take singular. It's had plus been plus the verb plus ing. So therefore we can say had been eating, had been jumping, had been sleeping, had been drinking. Right? Now what you need to understand is that these actions started in the past and continued up to a point until what we are talking about, but that is also in the past. So we had been eating. Started in the past, stopped at a certain point in the past, and the time frame is given by the speaker. So singular had. What if it is plural? There is no difference. It is still had. Okay. So let's take plural. It's still had plus the verb. Had plus been plus the verb plus ing. So we can say had been eating, had been sleeping, had been jumping, had been drinking. So even though it is singular, that is she, he, it, the form is had plus been plus the verb plus ing. Even though it is plural like we, you, they, I, even though some of them are singular, they act like plural. It is still the form is had plus been plus the verb plus ing. So that is basically the form of the two tenses. Right. So I think that, gives you the idea about the form of it, right? So moving on, now here we have two sentences. We need to find out why B is correct and why is A wrong. Let's have a look at it. She was waiting. Was waiting is the past continuous, right? So should we use since along with it? No. It was happening for some time in the past. We don't know the start. You don't use since. She has been waiting at the bus stop since 2:30 p.m. but no bus has come so far. So it started in the past, continues to the time of speaking, and the action is still not completed because she is still waiting. So has been waiting. So that is correct, and it goes along with since as well. Hopefully it's clear now. So the next one, B is correct, A is wrong. Why is that? Scientists have done research on ways to combat cancer for over 25 years with some success. Now, when we say have done, what is the tense? Have plus the past participle or has plus the past participle. What is the tense? It is the present perfect tense. So in the present perfect tense, there are recent past activities and the activities must be completed, if you remember. But what is this? They have done research on how to prevent or how to overcome cancer over the 25 years with some success. Have we completed the action? No. So can we use the present perfect tense? No. So is this correct? No. But let's have a look at the next sentence. Scientists have been doing. So because it is plural, we have plus been plus the verb plus ing. Research on ways to combat cancer over 25 years with some success. Started in the past, continues to the time of speaking. Is the action completed? No, it isn't. It's not yet completed. So can we use the present perfect continuous tense? Of course we can, and therefore B is correct. Okay. So as I tell you always, the most important thing is not saying, this is wrong, this is right. The most important thing for you as a student, especially for IELTS, is knowing why is this wrong, why is this correct. Okay, so you always have to ask yourself why. Next one, B is correct and A is wrong. The dogs came in covered with mud and grime. Grime means dirt, okay? So the dogs came in covered with mud and grime. They have been playing outside, okay? So came and they were covered with mud. They have been playing outside. So started in the past, at the time of speaking, what? They've been playing outside, still continuing. Can you say the dogs came in covered? Is the action completed? Yes, right. But if it is completed and it came in the past, can you say have? No, because it is linked to the past. It was going on for a time in the past. Let me show you where it is, because you might get confused. Yeah. Going on for a time continuously until the time of speaking. So what is the time of speaking? Came in covered with mud and grime. They had been playing outside. So now I'm telling they had been doing it outside. So what is here? Have been playing is wrong. It has to be had been playing because it is in the past. It was happening continuously, right? Next one, circle the numbers of the sentences that are correct. So here you have some sentences. Some of the sentences are correct. Some of the sentences are actually incorrect. So what you have to do is think about what I taught you. What are the rules of not just these tenses but the other ones as well? You need to remember to decide is this right or wrong, right? Santana had supervised that project for the last 3 years until it was taken over by a large company. So think about the tense, think about the use of that specific tense. My car had broken down this morning. I'll have to tow it to the garage. The students are hot and starving. They have been playing on the hills all morning. The plumber has been trying to seal the leak in the main pipe for more than 2 hours. We have watched an exciting movie on television. It is going to end in an hour's time. So, write down the numbers of the sentences which are correct in your notebook. The next few sentences. Collie had been calling Marissa's office a few times, but he doesn't seem to be in. The enemy planes have been dropping bombs on the area all day. My family lived in this wooden house since the time my father retired from the army 10 years ago. My palms are covered with grease because I have been cleaning the kitchen stove. The director talked about pay increments for the past 3 years, but wages remain low, right? So out of these, mark the sentences which you think are correct, okay? Now, let us have a look at the answers. We have 1, 3, 4, 7, 9. Have you got those? Right? So let me mark and show you. 1, 3, 4, 7, 9. So these are the correct answers. Let's go and refer back to why are these correct and why are the others wrong. Santana had supervised the project for the last 3 years until it was taken over by a large company. So this is the past perfect tense. Action is completed. Specific time in the past, perfectly fine. Past perfect, good to go. The students are hot and starving. they have been playing on the hills all morning, right? So yes, they have been playing on the hills all morning, right? And they are at the moment hot and starving. At present, this is how they feel, yes. And they started something in the past, and at the time of speaking, it's still happening, yes. So number 3 is correct. The plumber has been trying to seal the leak in the main pipe for more than 2 hours. So he started in the past. At the time of speaking, he's still trying to work it out. So if that is the case, you can use the present perfect continuous tense. So this is fine. Now let's have a look at the next one, number 7. The enemy planes have been dropping bombs on the area all day. Has it stopped? Not really. Did it start in the past? Yes. Is it continuing at the time of speaking? Yes. So can we use the present perfect continuous tense? Yes. Okay. My palms are covered with grease because I have been cleaning the kitchen stove. So at the time of speaking, started in the past at the time of speaking, cleaning the kitchen stove, but the palms are covered with grease. Yes, good to go. Therefore, 9 is correct. Now, let's have a look at why are the others wrong. My car had broken down this morning. I'll have to tow it to the garage. What is wrong there? My car this morning, recent past. So my car has broken this morning, recent past. Okay, so you can't use the past perfect. We have watched an exciting movie on television. It is going to end in an hour's time. Okay. This is not something predicted. The game will anyway end. So it will end in an hour's time. So going to, we can't really use it. So therefore, number 5 is wrong. Okay. And because another thing is, if in case you don't want to tell it that way, right? Another thing that you can use is we have watched. Can you say the action is completed? No, you can't. Has it yet finished? No. Are you doing it at the moment? Yes. So we are watching an exciting movie on television. It's happening at the time of speaking, so it is not a completed action. So that is wrong. Collie had been calling Marissa's office a few times, but he doesn't seem to be in. Has the action been completed? No. So Collie has been calling Marissa's office. Started in the past, continues at the time of speaking. My family lived in this wooden house since the time my father retired. So when you use since, you don't use it with the simple past tense, okay, because it shows the start of a time frame. So you have to think about it. That is definitely wrong. The director talked about pay increments for the past 3 years, but wages remain low. Okay. So what happened? Talked about the past 3 years, right? But at the moment, the action is completed. Talking is done, but the wages still remain low. So the director had been talking about pay increments because continuously happened in the past, right? Until the time we are just talking about, which is 3 years. But nothing has yet happened. So no change. So therefore, number 10 is also wrong. Right. So we have 1, 3, 4, 7, 9 as the answers. So moving on, let's have a look at the next exercise. Cross out the incorrect verb. Now, not the correct one. What are you supposed to cross out? The incorrect one. to complete the sentences, right? Let's have a look at the first one. Anne was surprised when she realized that her colleagues had been planning or had planned a baby shower for her months without her knowledge. Which one do you think it is? Is it going to be the present perfect? Or would it be is it going to be the past perfect? Or is it going to be the past perfect continuous? The second one, the management already saw, has already seen the proposals and has promised to give us an answer soon. So which one is it? Jen and his friend, not Jane, it's Jen. Jen and his friend were involved in an accident because they had been drinking or had drunk and driving. The team had been designing or has designed new marketing strategies to increase the sales of our products. So take a few minutes and see which is the correct one, which is the incorrect one, and cross out the incorrect one. Or you can just jot down the incorrect answer in your notebook. So when we are discussing, you can mark it. Mr. Fernando has been working or has worked at 2 jobs to support his family since his wife lost her job in June last year. The number of students playing truant from college dropped recently as parents had been cooperating or have cooperated closely with the disciplinary board these past few weeks. Everything is untidy because we had rearranged or have been rearranging the furniture in the house. Alexandria had just been finishing cooking breakfast when we dropped in to see her last morning. So here are your answers. Had planned, already saw, had drunk, had been, designing, has worked, have cooperated, had rearranged, had been finishing. So these are the incorrect ones. Let us have a look at it one by one, right? So the first one. Anne was surprised when she realized that her colleagues a baby shower for months. So it was going on for months, continuously happening in the past. So can you say had planned? No. The correct one is had been planning. So we are going to cross out the incorrect verb. So let us see if that is the answer. There you go. That is the answer. Let us have a look at the next one. The management already saw, has already seen the proposals and has promised to give us an answer soon. Have they given the answer? No. Have they given the answer? No. Is the action completed? No. So can you say already saw? No, you can't. So has already seen? Yes. But has already saw is wrong. And therefore that is the incorrect verb. So there you go. Next one. Jen and his friend were involved in an accident because they had been drinking and driving, or they had drunk. They had done it continuously in the past until a certain point. So had been drinking and driving. So this is the correct one. What is the incorrect one? Had drunk. So I'm going to cross had drunk. Let us see if that is the answer. Yes. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. The team had been designed or has designed new marketing strategies to increase the sales. Have they done it and have they completed? Yes. Okay. It's not something continuously that you have done in the past. So, has designed would be the correct one. Had been designing would be incorrect because it's not a series of things that continuously happened in the past. So, had been designing, and I think that's right. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Mr. Fernando has worked at 2 jobs to support his family since his wife lost her job in June. Is he still continuing the action or is it completed? It's not completed. He is still continuing the action. Started in the past, continuing till the time of speaking is happening. So, has been working is correct. Has worked is incorrect. So, has worked is incorrect and that is what we have marked. Okay, so there you go. Let's have a look at the next one. The number of students playing truant from college dropped recently as parents had been have cooperated closely with the disciplinary board these past few weeks. Has been happening continuously in the past. So, parents had been cooperating is correct. Have cooperated is wrong. So, therefore, the answer have cooperated. That's correct. Let's have a look at the next one. Everything is untidy because we had rearranged or have been rearranging the furniture in the house. Have we completed it? Not really. It is untidy because something is happening. So, have been rearranging should be the correct one. Had rearranged. Past. It was happening for a long time in the past. Not really. So, therefore, had rearranged is wrong. Next one. Had just finished, had just been finishing. So, you can't say had just been finishing, right? So, Alexandria had just finished cooking. So, that is the correct one. We don't use just along in the past perfect continuous tense. So, this is wrong. And I think we have got that as the answer. So, can you have a look at it again and see if you've got these answers? All right. Fill in the blanks with the present perfect or past perfect, present perfect continuous or past perfect continuous tense, right? Now, inside the brackets, you have a verb. You have to read the sentence and then understand which tense does it belong into. Does it belong to the present perfect? Does it belong to the past perfect? Or does it belong to the present perfect continuous? Last but not least, does it belong to the past perfect continuous tense? So, you know, if it is present perfect, let me just remind you the form. It is has or have plus the past participle of the verb. If it is past perfect, had plus the past participle of the verb. Present perfect continuous, so has or have plus been plus the verb plus ing. Or past perfect continuous, had plus been plus the verb plus ing. During the last 6 months, So this is the key thing. The government restore is the verb historic buildings. So you can think and write the answer. We'll have a look at the answers at the end. My father's 10-year-old car signs of fatigue for more than 8 months before it finally broke down last month. So, finally broke down last month. The health ministry that a dangerous outbreak of dengue may occur. Tinali's overalls were splattered with paint. She blanked the room all evening. Bailey blanked around the garden all afternoon. She looked sweaty and breathless. They blank not tell Benny that he had been chosen to lead when he went in to see directors. For the past few years, China blank a great effort to save the giant pandas from extinction. By rainfall yesterday, the committee blanked most of the decorations in the hall. So, let us have a look at the answers. You don't need to have them as caps lock, right? You can just have the simples, that's fine. Because it started, it's just caps there, but not necessarily does it have to be caps unless it's at the start of the sentence, which is not there in any of these, so you can just leave it as a simple form, right? So let's have a look at the first one. Has been restoring, had been showing, have indicated, had been painting, has been running, hadn't told, has been making, had already put up. So let's have a look at the first one. So let us have a look at the first one. During the last 6 months, the government has been restoring. Let's first write the answers and then later discuss one by one. The second one, my father's 10-year-old car had been showing. Third one, the health ministry has indicated. Fourth one, Tinali's overalls were splattered with paint. She had been painting. So let's first discuss these 4 questions and then go to the next 4 questions, right? During the last 6 months has been restoring, which means it started in the past and at the time of speaking the action is still continuing because the government has been restoring historic buildings. So action is not yet completed. My father's 10-year-old car had been showing. Past perfect continuous tense. Why is that? It was going on for a specific time in the past continuously until the point of speaking in the past, which was last month. Therefore, it is the past perfect continuous tense. The health ministry has indicated a dangerous outbreak of the dengue. So, has indicated means recent past. Okay. Tinali's overalls were splattered with paint because she had been painting it. So, it was happening continuously in the past and at the time of speaking for the point where the room all evening. So all evening is our timeline and it happened continuously in the past. So she had been painting. Bailey has been running. Number 6, they had not. So we can say hadn't told. For the past few years, China has been making a great effort. And the last one, by the rainfall yesterday, the committee had already put up most of the decorations in the hall. Right, so I think we have the answers. Let us discuss. Bailey has been running around the garden all afternoon. She looks sweaty and breathless. So she looks very sweaty and breathless. So what has she been doing? She has been running around all afternoon, right? They had not told Benny yet. So you know when there's yet, which tends to use it along with. Okay? For the past few years, China has been making a great effort. So for the past few years, they've been trying to do it. Started in the past, but at the time of speaking, the action is not yet completed. Present perfect continuous tense. By rainfall yesterday, the committee had already put up. So they've already done it, completed the action, right? Already put up most of the decorations in the hall. Okay, so therefore that is the past form. Clear? So with that we have done our 8 sentences gap fills. Let us have a look at the next exercise. Some of the sentences below contain incorrect verb forms. Underline them and write the correct verbs in the spaces provided. Right, so now that we have completed this exercise, let's have a look at the next one. Some of the sentences below contain incorrect verb forms. Underline them and write the correct verbs in the spaces provided. So spaces provided means here you have them. So what you have to do is write the incorrect one and just write the correct part. You don't need to write the complete sentence, only the verb part which is incorrect. You can correct it and write. Okay, so there are 5 errors if you can see here. Let's have a look at the first one. My friends and I all want to go to Australia. We had been trying to arrange a holiday there for several years, but something always goes wrong. So you have to think about we had been trying. The year before last, we have all been working hard for months and really wanted a good holiday. We sent for brochures and started to make bookings, but then one friend became ill and another suddenly had to move house. So think about we all have been working. Think about it. The next one. Last year, somebody said we had been talking about an Australian holiday for such a long time. Let's just go. We agreed but found out that was difficult to make bookings at the resorts that interested us. After we have been phoning and emailing for 2 weeks, we became discouraged and took a local holiday. So think about these underlined verbs, right? This year we may become successful. We have found a good travel agent who specializes in trips to Australia, and she had been working hard. Last year, somebody said we had been talking about an Australian holiday for such a long time. Let's just go. We agreed, but found out that it was difficult to make bookings at the resorts that interested us. After we have been phoning and emailing for 2 weeks, we became discouraged and took a local holiday. So think about had been talking and have been phoning. This year, we may be successful. We have just found a good travel agent who specializes in trips to Australia, and she had been working hard on the arrangements. So think about had been working. She says she'll phone us tomorrow and let us know what is available. I do hope we make it this time. Right, so here, list down the incorrect verbs. I think I have given you a hint by, underlining it. Think about how can you change it. And here are your answers. Had been trying needs to be changed into have been trying. Have all been working, had all been working. Had been talking, have been talking. Have been phoning should be had been phoning. Had been working needs to be has been working. So let us have a look at it, right? My friends and I all want to go to Australia. For years, but nothing happens. It all goes wrong. So have we completed it? No. So we have been trying. Okay. The year before last, we worked hard for months. So this was at a specific time until, what happened? Until my friend became ill and my other friend had to move house. We were doing it in the past continuously. So the year before last, we had all been working hard for months, right? Last year, somebody said we had been talking about an Australian holiday for such a long time. But is the action kind of in the past or have we doing it past till now? Is it happening? It is. So we haven't stopped talking about it. So we have been talking about it. After doing it for many times in the past, it discouraged us and took a local holiday. So that is the end of the time period. So after we had been phoning. So the next one, we have found a good travel agent who specializes in trips to Australia this time. So started in the past, and have we completed it? No. She'll phone us tomorrow. So she has been. Started in the past, not yet completed. So has been working. So in the gaps, you should have written the wrong word and then put down the right verb form. So here are your answers to check. And coming to the last activity, rewrite the sentences below correctly. Since early this morning, water was gushing out of the burst means and no one has come to repair it. Then you have the second, the third one. Okay, take some time, pause the video and rewrite the sentences correctly. Okay, and I've also given you the fourth and the fifth ones. So please take some time and rewrite the sentences correctly. And then let us have a look at the answers. Right, so hopefully you have jotted down the answers now. Let us have a look at the correct answers. Since early this morning, so let us have a look at the correct answers. Since early this morning, water has been gushing out. Okay, so here it says was gushing, but it has to be the water has been gushing out. So let's have a look at the second one, right? They came back from the woods covered with leech bites. They had been catching dragonflies all morning. So continuously happened in the past, right? Now let's have a look at the third one. I usually keep my diaries in the cupboard, but now they are scattered all over the room. Someone was going through my diaries. So what it should be is that someone has been going through my diaries, right? The fourth one, that man has stared at us ever since we came. I wonder whether we know him. That man has been staring because there is since. Okay. The last one, Ken was postponing going to the doctor for months, but Ken was postponing going to the doctor for months, but yesterday evening his stomachache was so bad that he had to rush off to the hospital. So here stomachache is usually two words. You can just write it as two words, right? Stomachache, right? Alright, so the last one, Ken had been postponing. So having a look at the last one, Ken had been postponing, right? So here are the correct answers. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the lesson. And what was our lesson focus today about? Our lesson was all about the present perfect continuous tense as well as the past perfect continuous tense. So we had a look at the differences between the two tenses. We also just touched a bit on refreshing our minds about the other few tenses as well. And we had a bit of comparison and lots of practice questions to make sure that you understand these two tenses. So with that, we come to the end of this lesson, present and past perfect continuous tense.